Viktor Frankl understood something that many purely verbal therapists overlook, that insight alone is often not enough. A person can understand, intellectually, that their suffering has meaning and that they have resources they have not yet drawn upon, and still feel paralyzed, still feel that the understanding doesn't quite reach the level where it is needed. The gap between the intellectual grasp and the lived transformation can be enormous. To bridge this gap, Frankl developed a technique he called Logodrama, a form of existential role-playing that draws on the psychodrama tradition of Jacob Moreno while orienting it explicitly toward the discovery of meaning. In Logodrama, the patient is invited to enact, rather than simply discuss, existential situations relevant to their life. This might mean taking the role of their future self looking back on the present crisis, or imagining a dialogue with someone they have lost, or stepping into the perspective of someone whose situation is even more extreme in order to discover resources they had not known were available. Frankl described one of the most striking logodrama sessions he conducted, a session that has become one of the most cited examples of existential therapy in the literature. The patient was an elderly general practitioner whose wife had died 2 years earlier. He had been unable to emerge from grief. He told Frankl that he saw no reason to go on. His wife had been everything to him, and her absence was unbearable. Frankl did not offer consolation. He asked the man a question. What would have happened if you had died first and your wife had survived? The man sat quietly for a moment. Then he said, she would have suffered terribly. She could not have borne it. Frankl reflected this back. By dying first, the man had spared his wife that suffering. But this meant that his own grief, the suffering he was enduring now, was the price of her being spared. He was suffering on her behalf. His grief was not meaningless. It was the continuation of his love in the only form now available to it. The man did not respond with tears or protestations. He sat in silence, absorbed. Then he stood, shook Frankl's hand, and left. Something had shifted, not in his external circumstances, but in his relationship to them. The same suffering, confronted from a different angle, carried a completely different meaning. This is the essence of logodrama, the shift in perspective that can transform the meaning of a situation without changing its facts. The technique acknowledges that suffering often cannot be eliminated, but that the stance one takes toward it, the role one inhabits in relation to it, can be fundamentally altered. Logodrama also has a group application. Frankl sometimes used it in therapeutic groups where members would enact different life situations and perspectives, helping each other discover meaning through imaginative engagement with possibilities they had not previously considered. The group format adds the dimension of witnessing, the experience of having one's suffering seen and acknowledged by others, and of recognizing oneself in another struggle. The philosophical foundation of logodrama is consistent with the broader logotherapy framework. Frankl believed that meaning cannot be forced or manufactured, it can only be discovered. But discovery is not purely cognitive. It is also affective and embodied. A meaning that is enacted, felt, and inhabited rather than merely articulated has a different quality and a different staying power. Logodrama creates the conditions for this kind of discovery by moving the therapeutic conversation out of the purely verbal register and into something closer to lived experience. In an era when experimental and body-based therapeutic approaches are gaining wider acceptance, Frankl's logodrama stands as an early recognition that genuine transformation often requires more than understanding. It requires encounter with the situation, with the self, and with the meaning that is waiting to be found. Subscribe to The Psychology of Viktor Frankl to explore more of his timeless ideas.